We've all heard at least one time that if people's trying to push you around, you should ignore them. Or if somebody tries to bully you, you should not react to them, right? I think a lot of us who have children would always advise our child to, in most cases at least, if a bully tries to bully you, just ignore them. Don't give them the time and the leverage. Well, how many people do consider the fact that there's a possibility that bullies try to bully you and you resist? And you resist very strong and they cannot really push you around like everybody else because you got a level of strength. How do the bully react? The bully loses control. And in most cases, it makes it even more dramatic. And you get to a standoff at some point. Now, imagine a case where your child pushed back a bully. Then the bully say, you the bully, you trying to bully me, now let's go. How do you react to that? Have you ever heard of a situation where somebody trying to protect themselves from attacks? Then at the end of the day, they are accused of being the attacker. Well, let's find out about this. President Donald Trump has just announced sending 2 nuclear submarines next to Russia. My brother, if you never had to worry about this, I think it's about time we open our eyes and ears. Because as much as I really like you, as much as we come here all for Africa, we want to know about the motherland and our people, I think it's very necessary to know what's happening out there in the world. Because whether we like it or not, it's going to affect us. Yes, Donald Trump has ordered 2 nuclear submarines to be stationed next to Russia. He called it the right regional position. So on August 1st, 2025, President Trump announced he had ordered 2 nuclear submarines to be repositioned in the appropriate regions near Russia, following what he described as a provocative statement by Dmitry Medvedev. So in other words, Trump is telling us that he sent 2 submarines next to Russia in a strategic position. He doesn't quite disclose where exactly this place is. He says it's in response to what Dmitry Medvedev, the ex-Russian president, said. Trump continues by saying, based on a highly provocative statement of the former president Dmitry Medvedev, who has raised the prospect of war online. Medvedev had responded to Trump ultimatums. He said ultimatums constitute a threat and a step toward war. Stop bullying us. In other words, why are you giving us ultimatums? Why are you telling us when and how we should react? This is a threat to security. You're pushing us toward war. And Trump reacted by sending nuclear submarines next to Russia.
Oh yeah, well we had to do that. We just have to be careful. A threat was made by a former president of Russia and we're going to protect our people.
Well, in order to do something like this, you got to have a reason, like why are you sending, this is Russia, you know what I mean? This is not Japan or Iran or something. This is Russia. Trump framed the submarine movement as a precautionary measure. He continues saying, words are very important, just in case these foolish and inflammatory statements are more than just that.
Well, you just have to read what he said. He was talking about nuclear. When you talk about nuclear, we have to be prepared.
So he's saying, words are very important. Okay, so just in case these foolish words are actually more than just words, let me place nuclear powered stuff. So my question is this one. Donald Trump said to Russia, you have 50 days to cut a deal with Ukraine and finish the war.
And we're going to be doing very severe tariffs if we don't have a deal in 50 days.
You have 50 days, and Russia feels like Trump is undermining the fight. He doesn't understand the context. He's just not trying to understand where Russia comes from. Now, who are you to tell us you're giving us 50 days? After giving 50 days, and Russia ignored it, he cut it down to 10 days.
Yeah, I'd say 10 to 12 days. I'll announce it probably tonight or tomorrow. But there's no reason to wait. If you know what the answer is going to be, why wait? And it would be sanctions and maybe tariffs, secondary tariffs. You know what a secondary tariff is.
Now, many people believe Trump went on a trip visiting some of the European leaders. And after he cut a deal with the European leaders lately, that is when they pushed him into putting pressure on Russia and moving the deadline from 50 days to 10 days. Let's look again what Trump said. Trump said the reason why he sent nuclear submarines next to Russia is because words are very important. Okay, just in case these foolish and inflammatory words are not just words. So if words are very important, it means your words are very important too. If you said, I'm giving you 10 days or I'm going to hit you hard in some ways, Those are very important as well. Or what are just important when it comes to Russia. You all know Donald Trump's ego is not small at all, okay? Him and Medvedev have been going at it for a while. It's not a brand new thing. Well, if Putin is calm and doesn't talk a lot, Medvedev is very different from that. He's fire. The matter of fact is, a lot of people believe if Medvedev was president of Russia during this war, he would have bombed Ukraine with the biggest bomb possible already. Trump and Medvedev have very similar behavior, and that is why they're clashing. After US president had reduced his 50-day deadline for Russia to end the war in Ukraine in less than 2 weeks, Medvedev posted that Trump was playing the ultimatum game with Russia. He continued saying each new ultimatum is a threat and a step toward war. Like, stop giving us ultimatums. You know, how about you come and talk to us like you're talking to people you respect and consider? We're not kids here. Yeah, we're not little kids. Don't tell us you have 50 days. No, come talk to us nicely, you know, because talking to us like this is a step toward war. Trump didn't like that. And Trump responded by saying, tell Medvedev, the fell former Russian president who thinks he is still in power, to be careful what he says. He is entering a very dangerous territory. Wow. How do you speak to another former president like this? Tell Medvedev, a failed former president who still thinks he is the president, that is playing in deep waters, is entering a very dangerous territory. Well, most of the presidents in the world get intimidated when Donald Trump speaks out. Well, not this one. Medvedev's response was very blatant. He mentioned the dead hand. Now, you're asking, what is the dead hand? Well, Russia is a system, okay? Since the Soviet Union, they created a system they called the dead end. It means if they were ever to be hit with a nuclear bomb and everybody was dead, the country has sensors that automate a system of retaliatory measures, meaning Russia will shoot all its nuclear power that are still alive to the country that has shot them. If you bomb them with the nuclear power and everybody's dead, the system has been programmed to shoot back all the nuclear bombs that they have. And trust me, Russia has about 1,000 something nuclear head, and that's going to be destructive. Medvedev made reference to the dead hands, the automatic nuclear retaliation measure, and that clearly did not go very well with the White House. Well, people are concerned because Donald Trump has issued a strict deadline on 8th of August. I mean, it was 50 days. 50 days, find a deal. Cut the deal with Ukraine. I mean, look, you don't tell another man, go cut the deal with him or else. You know, you don't do that. You're going to go nicely. Well, maybe Trump feels like he's been going nicely too much and it's time to put pressure and force Russia. Would you force Russia, a nuclear power country? I don't know. He went from 50 days to 10 days. Okay, I'm giving you 10 days. In 10 days, if you don't do anything, well, you're going to have to pay the consequences of it. That is why Medvedev reacts. Dude, who the hell do you think you are? Who the hell do you think you are? Like, who do you think you are to come and tell us what to do? Trump moved U.S. nuclear submarine close to Russia territory. That's a serious military signal. That's dangerous. In return, Dmitry Medvedev responded with the veiled nuclear threat and warned the US about pushing ultimatums. Vladimir Putin has not reacted, and a lot of people are asking questions. After US has sent this nuclear-powered machine next to Russia, why hasn't Russia reacted to this? Is Russia calculating the dangers and the possibility? Is Russia downplaying what Trump is doing? It's a possibility because why? Well, in the past, Trump threatened North Korea of destruction and they sent nuclear submarines next to North Korea. Well, a couple of days later, they had a meeting and a discussion with North Korea. Is this one of those games that Trump plays? He tries to intimidate you, push you in a corner until you have a discussion and, a deal perhaps. Well, Trump has done a very similar thing with China when it comes to tariffs. After he hit many countries with tariffs, he hit China with tariffs. So China retaliated.
The U.S. side is still imposing extreme pressure on China by imposing tariffs indiscriminately. China firmly opposes and will never accept such arrogant and bullying behavior. If the U.S. really wants to solve the problem through dialogue and negotiations, it should show an attitude of equality, respect, and reciprocity. If the U.S. disregards the interests of both countries and the international community and insists on waging a tariff war and trade war, China will definitely retaliate.
How does a bully react when you bully back? I'm not saying Trump is a bully. I'm just trying to figure out, because if somebody get pushed by somebody who's unprovoked, is that a bully or not? I don't know. Well, China responded to United States by hitting them with tariffs as high as the United States of America. What's happened was a stands down until a point where Trump needed to negotiate.
What happens with China? We would love to be able to work a deal. We're resetting the table. and I'm sure that we'll be able to get along very well. I have great respect for President Xi. He's been, in a true sense, he's been a friend of mine for a long period of time, and I think that we'll end up working out something that's very good for both countries. I look forward to it.
They send people to have a discussion with China. Now, the question is this. I know many African countries have lately accepted to take in illegal immigrants from the United States, even criminals, rapists, killers, murderers in their countries because of pressure. You know, Gabon is accepted, Eswatini is accepted, South Sudan is already have people, Rwanda is accepted. What are the compensation? Is this just to try to be on the good side of Donald Trump, that you're accepting all these things? Now, can we live in a world where somebody is pushing everybody around? I'm just asking. Or do we need to live in a world that is fair? Is the bombardment of Iran by the United States of America justified? Isn't that a violation of international law? I'm just asking. I mean, whether Iran is right or wrong, it doesn't deserve to have atomic bomb. Going to another person's backyard and bombarding them, is that an international violation of the rules? I'm just asking. I'm not making the rules. Now, if Trump has done this in the past and had no consequences for it, could this be something that encouraged him to do it with many other countries? You know, I'm going to bully you if you don't act right. I'm going to sanction you. If you think you're strong, I'm going to bomb you. Now, when you have a situation like this, should you have some other forces that can oppose to that so you can have balance? Because if you have a situation where one person is bullying everybody around, forcing everybody to act in a way they want them to act, or else he's going to destroy and send nuclear power, don't you think we have a big problem here? Well, I believe Donald Trump doesn't want war. I firmly believe that. I think many of the things that he's doing is perhaps a way to try to convene people to come around the table and to have a discussion. But what's also important to notice here is that when he wants you around the table, even though he doesn't want war, he wants a deal that benefits the United States of America first and other people later. So even if you're going to pay the consequences of the choice that you make, as long as America wins in his eyes, that is what the deal you got to make.
I will fight for you with every breath in my body, and I will never, ever let you down.
Now, the big problem again is the one when they want to force you into deals, or else. Well, or else doesn't work well with everybody, at least not with the Russian. Let me know how you feel about this, fellas. How dangerous is this? Should African president continue to bow? Do you think they're bowing down to Trump by accepting all these illegal foreigners, illegal immigrants, dangerous people in their countries just to be on the right side of Trump's love? Or do you think this is strategic? Now, if it is strategic, how is this profiting African nations? How is that profitable to you? Do you think this move by Russia is justified by saying you're putting threats out there, you're actually pushing us toward war instead of pushing us toward peace? How do you think Russia should react? We know from now they're still very quiet. They have not reacted to Trump sending nuclear submarines around the country. Do you think Russia should respond, or Russia should just ignore Trump in a way to keep him in the dark? God bless.